Welcome back, Truth Seeker. In the headlines today, September 3rd, 2019, a Tuesday. In Indianapolis, it is declared Andrew Luck Day. The NFL player whose father, a former NFL player, is now the CEO of the XFL owned by Vince McMahon. And Andrew Luck just retired from the NFL on Vince McMahon's 74th birthday. And I want to show you what's so funny about this in light of the title Andrew Luck Day. And please, the last video I just uploaded was about Ezekiel Elliott's return by the numbers and how this is further evidence of just how scripted the NFL is. But not only that, but the players who are playing in this league are birthed and named accordingly for their future planned roles as professional athletes. And at the end of this video, which YouTube says I supposedly have 666 views, at the end of this video, I want you to listen to what I bring up about Andrew Luck and the number 112. And after making this video, somebody left a very important comment. Michael Geist, who's followed this work for several years, to let me know about this. So then I looked into it, and check this out. You see how they emphasize Andrew Luck Day? Anytime the mainstream media emphasizes words, there are numbers behind those words that are a coded language. Now notice Andrew Luck Day sums to 142 and 74. Just like Gematria, which is this practice of coding numbers into words, which is important in Masonry. But notice the 142 and the 74. That's exactly what I talked about the day Andrew Luck retired. Those two key numbers. His father, who is the new CEO of the XFL, his name is Oliver Luck, which sums to 142. And Andrew Luck retired 142 days after his birthday. And again, he retired August 24th, which was Vince McMahon's 74th birthday. He turned 74 years old. He owns the XFL. He also owns the WWE, the wrestling league that everybody now knows is fixed. And since I've been doing this, everyone should know that all of pro sports is fixed. We've proven it so thoroughly for the last 6 years straight, calling championships, games, day after day, season after season, and showing how all of the stuff orchestrated even off the field is all by this Masonic language of letters and numbers. And again, American sports is controlled by Masonry. All the American sports are credited to Freemasonry. Vince McMahon is a Freemason. Masonic equals 74. So does English. So does occult. So does Gematria. So coming back, Andrew Luck Day, 74, 142, the numbers of the ritual for his retirement. Now look at this. You want to see how set the chessboard is, truly? The point of my work is to understand the Masonic matrix that we truly live in. And this is why you see all the major shills in the truth community, from Alex Jones to Mark Passio, saying it's not Masonry. It's more than Masonry. To say it's just Masonry is not true. It's the Jesuits, there's other secret societies, but what links all these secret societies together are Masonic concepts and principles and Kabbalah and codes like this, letters and numbers. This is the language of the Cabal, and Masonry is a huge part. But anyway, look at this. This is how set the chessboard is. Today is September 3rd, right? September 3rd, a date that can be written 3/9 or 9/3. Indianapolis is on the 39th parallel. Remember, Masonry equals 39. And Indianapolis Colts equals 93. Today can also be written 9/3, like 93. And the mayor who made this declaration, his name is Joe Hogsett. And doesn't something just seem wrong with that name, Hogsett? Almost makes me think of a football, like the hog skin, the pig skin, down, set, hike. You know, Joe Hogsett, look at his birthday, November 2nd, 11/2, like 112. I just got done talking about this at the end of the video. I was just talking about, you want the ultimate, evidence of just how scripted things are? Look at Andrew Luck. 112, his mother's name's Kathy Luck. The father played for the Houston Oilers. Now he's the CEO of the XFL, who just named their team the Houston Roughnecks, and we'll get to that in a second too. But horseshoes also 112. Andrew Luck played for the Colts. The horseshoe's what's on their helmet. And think about how a horseshoe is associated with luck. I mean, just think about it. Think about how planned and orchestrated all this has to be. Think about, again, how Andrew Luck was drafted by Stanford, drafted by the Colts, which caused Peyton Manning to go to the Broncos, just like how once upon a time John Elway was drafted out of Stanford like Luck to the Colts, but he was traded to the Broncos. Then Manning plays under Elway and goes to 2 more Super Bowls. If you haven't seen the article USA Today wrote about me January 2016 for exposing Super Bowl 50 months in advance, you should definitely check that out. They made fun of the fact that I blamed all the scripting on Freemasonry, which of course it was. The whole thing was a Masonic ritual. But look at this. The mayor's full name equals 85 like National Football League. Remember Bart Starr died at 85 this offseason by the numbers. Green Bay, Wisconsin's 85. And he died 77 days from the establishment date anniversary. Green Bay's 77. On the establishment date anniversary, August 11th, Darryl Drake, the receivers coach of the Steelers, died. Pittsburgh Steelers, 243. He died 243 days after his birthday. Darryl Drake equals 54, like how this will be the year of Super Bowl 54. Venus equals 54. A day on Venus is 243 days on Earth. The Masons have mapped out the language, the universe, and put it in a code, and every day they are using it to script their rituals, which is contriving news stories, building border walls, rigging elections, planning mass shootings, using their henchmen that they have on the chessboard to, go conduct the drills and report the mass tragedies. The Masons have checkerboards for their floors, chessboards, not by accident. It's because these people have set the table. Masonry is huge. It's millions of people. They name their children by these codes. This is how you can have the chessboard set with the right mayor in place. Notice he's the 49th mayor. NFL's 49 to go with the National Football League thing. And think about a town like Indianapolis. What is the biggest industry? What's the biggest money maker? What's the biggest tax haul for the city? I'm sure it is the Indianapolis Colts. So if you start to go, well, wait, why would the Masons put in, a guy with the National Football League for the 49th mayor? Because that is the industry of Indianapolis. And who do you think runs that industry? Probably someone in Masonry. And he probably has more family member. And, imagine a good old boys club with all the power of the city, birthing children and realizing they're not going to let go of their hold of the city. Look how long people sit in office for. Look at, how long powerful families run major companies. You don't think in all this time they could have developed a grand plan to even name their children accordingly and stick them in all the right spots? Mayors, quarterbacks, presidents, etc., and have them all made for the part? See, people, I've been thinking about this because so many people say that there's no way all this could be orchestrated. But you start to think about Masonry, there's literally tens of millions of Masons in the world. And it's been that way since the founding of this nation. If you have a network of tens of millions of people operating by a code that they understand, why isn't it possible? When I was driving people around for the 3 months that I did it, for Uber and Lyft, I got an old man that I picked up from the airport. He said it was probably the last trip of his life to Seattle. He wanted to drive on the viaduct before they tore it down because he knew they were going to do that. And he had a lot of things to talk and a lot of questions, and somehow he got me to bring up this knowledge because I didn't bring it up to everybody. And he actually cut me off and he said, what you're talking about, I'm well aware of. He said, my father named me Kirby, and he was a Mason, and he named me Kirby because it begins with K, the master letter 11, and the name Kirby has a breakdown to 11 as well. And I said, wow. I said, you are the first person I've ever been explained this to, and then you already just understood how the system worked, and you're the first person I've ever met that said they were named accordingly by this code. So yes, these people do exist in the world. and they're not just going to talk about this openly with anyone, unless maybe they're, they got their cab driver, and the cab driver brings up this information. He's just like, holy smokes. And anyway, that guy said that he also helped, he was an older man, he said he helped Robert F. Kennedy in his campaign. And so I started thinking, okay, so he's a Mason, he's close to, so it just, again, there's a good old boys network, and most of us aren't in it. George Carlin had a joke about this. But you just start to really look at all this. I mean, how perfect his birthday is, the number that always syncs up with Andrew Luck. Go listen to the last video I made. I was just talking about Andrew Luck in November 2nd. Watch the end of this video. I didn't even realize that today was Andrew Luck Day until Michael posted. But I was just talking about how 2 years ago on November 2nd, a bogus story comes out. All of a sudden, Andrew Luck's going to miss the whole season out of nowhere. And then the star quarterback of Houston, remember Andrew Luck played his high school ball in Houston. His father played for the Houston Oilers. Then the star quarterback of Houston supposedly tears his ACL the same day, November 2nd. And I did a video that day, and I said, this is how it's all scripted. It's because they got these guys' careers perfectly scripted. They want them to end on X amount of games. They want them to be in this playoff game on this total game. They got it all mapped out, and that's why you get all these bogus and fake injuries and the perfect script. And, it should just be so obvious after all that we've exposed. And again, how many times has this happened in the years that I've been making videos? Exactly what I'm talking about. Somebody goes out and applies the knowledge and instantly sees another connection, and then moments later, we're here to talk about even more. So anyway, Andrew Luck Day, the perfect mayor for the announcement, this NFL-related ritual. Biggest industry in Indianapolis is the Indianapolis Colts. Again, Andrew Luck Day, 142 and 74. Oliver Luck, 142. He retired 142 days after his father's birthday. And on the 74th birthday of Vince McMahon, and again, Vince McMahon owns the XFL. His father is the CEO. And it is just, it's just sick. And you know what else is sick? Is that this video is not going to have 10 million views in 2 days. You see all the crap that gets like 10 million views in a day? And it's just like, I mean, what the hell? Like, what is this even doing for anybody? Imagine if all NFL fans saw this video and then actually got angry and went to try and prove me wrong and realized that, oh my God, this is how sports is scripted. Which is everyone who honestly investigates this knowledge knows that this is exactly what's going on, because you can prove it every single day. And again, there's a reason that my Patreon has so many people on it. It's because a lot of people are making a lot of money off understanding this knowledge. And I'm going to make a point about that. You know what? I'll just make it right now. ESPN ran this story all day right here. ESPN ran this story all day. One of their front page stories today. Year of the Black Quarterback. Year of the Black Quarterback. And notice they have two of the NFL's small group of black quarterbacks front and center. That's Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs and Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. And in light of 74 being that special number, don't forget Muhammad equals 74. Years before Muhammad Ali died, I said, watch, he will die at age 74. Sadly, he did. It was a tribute to the Prophet Muhammad. And right after that, they did a 19-mile funeral procession at Louisville. And after that 19-mile funeral procession, Lamar Jackson became the sensation of college football at age 19, playing for Louisville, Muhammad Ali's hometown. And then went on to have a NFL career, which he's now successful with. He's one of the bright young stars with a lot to prove. The last time we had a black quarterback in the Super Bowl was Super Bowl 50. I'm going to make a point about what they have emphasized down here. They make the game exciting. We're going to get to that in a moment. But USA Today wrote an article about me. Here, you can just do a web search for it. Again, just in case you're new here, if you do USA Today, Zachary K. Hubbard, and they're not the only ones who've written. They wrote the longest article about me, and the most important one. Conspiracy theorist proves Freemasons rigged AFC and NFC championship game. And this was written January 27, 2016. A man calling himself Zachary K. Hubbard. The video used to have my actual videos here, but because this channel was deleted, again, I'm on my 18th channel due to censorship, the videos are no longer there. But they did me a big favor. They sent a lot of people my way by running this. And the reason they did it is because in October of that season, I said why the Broncos would defeat the Carolina Panthers, what it had to do with the national news stories that were going on at the time. You know, all the black young men being killed by white police officers, and you had protesters on the football field doing the hands up, don't shoot. And I said, think about it. Black Panther, white Bronco, black and white symbolism, Peyton Manning on his rodeo ride out of here. And I pointed out in October that if Cam Newton started in the Super Bowl against Peyton Manning, he would become the 58th quarterback to start in a Super Bowl. And the reason that mattered is right here. I'm just going to go back to the only two ciphers I used back then. You know, back then I didn't know reverse when I made this prediction. I knew these ciphers. And I said, okay, Cam Newton can become the 58th quarterback to start in a Super Bowl. Huey P. Newton equals 58. That's the founder of the Black Panther Party who established the Black Panther Party in Oakland in the Bay Area where Super Bowl 50 was. Remember, Super Bowl 50 was hosted by San Francisco 50, which is on the 122nd Meridian. But notice Oakland is 58, just like Huey P. Newton. And again, the Super Bowl that year was in the Bay Area. Remember, special number, Freemasonry is 58. Secret Society is 58. Rosicrucian is 58. Freemasonry came out of the Rosicrucian order, the modern Freemasonry that we now refer to as Freemasonry. King James, again, was a Freemason and Rosicrucian. He dropped dead at age 58. So anyway, and then I said, think about it. It's going to be a defensive battle if the Broncos are going to win the Super Bowl because Peyton Manning is done offensively. So I said, who's the star of that team? Number 58, Von Miller, who was drafted one draft pick after Cam Newton. Cam Newton, number 1, Von Miller, number 2, number 58. And sure enough, Von Miller did end up being the MVP of that Super Bowl. The Broncos did win. I said there would be a Black Panther tribute at the game. It ended up being Beyonce criticized for dressing up as a Black Panther. And I said it'd be a tribute to Super Bowl 24 because the Broncos got wasted in Super Bowl 24 by the 49ers 55-10. 49ers equals 55. And at the time of Super Bowl 50, John Elway was 55 years old, so were the Broncos. Broncos won that Super Bowl with 24 points, like how they got wasted in Super Bowl 24. So, you know, for those of you who follow me sports, it's a reminder that I only knew those two ciphers back then and I could still figure out a lot. The reverse definitely helps, but this is how it's scripted, and we've proven it 1,000 more times since. It's not like we haven't done anything since this Super Bowl. Think about how many more Super Bowls we've destroyed since then. You know? Said the Patriots would definitely beat the Falcons. It was all about 25. Falcons equals 25. The game was on 2/5. Patriots win with a 25-point comeback. That was the 97th NFL season, the 25th prime. The AFC got its 25th Super Bowl. They moved the touchback to 25 yards that season. The next year, Patriots and Eagles. I said in week 3 the Super Bowl would be Patriots and Eagles, and the Eagles would start 10-1. Exactly what happened. Didn't flinch at all when Nick Foles became the starter. Said, look at Nick Foles' initials. N14F6, 14-6. That's the flag's birthday. It was all about the flag that year in the national anthem. That's why Zach Ertz scored the winning touchdown, number 86 days after his birthday. And the national anthem was adopted 86 years before that season. Next Super Bowl. Said the Patriots would definitely win it. That was last year. And just before the preseason ended, after the Aaron Donald holdout, number 99 days after his birthday, said, you know, Patriots-Rams look like the Super Bowl. Patriots equals 53. Los Angeles equals 53. Super Bowl 53. New England 99th NFL season. Aaron Donald, number 99 days after his contract, he ends his holdout. Aaron Donald equals 99 in Gematria, just using the alphabetic order. Anyway, riddle after riddle, season after season, numbers after numbers, we do the same thing each year. And, and not just football. We do it with baseball. We do it with basketball. I mean, we can go on all day. Called the Cubs to end the 108-year-old drought. And how did we do that? Called it in spring training. It's because Major League equals 108. There's 108 double stitches on a baseball. Geometry equals 108. This whole language is about geometry. The year before that, the 111th World Series in spring training, everybody laughed at me. Didn't have much of a following in early 2014. But I said the New York Mets will be in the World Series, the 111th World Series. People thought that was a hoot. They were there. New York equals 111. They were eliminated November 1st in the 111th World Series. Today, September 3rd, Brett Boone, the New York manager, became 191 and 111 as a manager in the regular season. New York Yankees is 191. New York's 111. He became 191 and 111. And today's September 3rd. 3/9, New York is also 39. You learn this code, you can just see exactly what they're doing from sport to sport, the perfect script from the regular season through the postseason through the final season. King James winning the finals, coming back from 3-1 for the first time in NBA history to win it on the real King James's birthday. And we called all this stuff, before it happened. We had the Cavs to win the finals before that season even started. And when they were down 3-1, we didn't flinch. Said King James's birthday. He'll come back and win it. King James equals 89. The Warriors go down with 89 points to King James on the real King James's birthday. And who was King James? His son, King Charles, the people who fought for him were Cavaliers. That's why King James plays on the Cavs. And who do you think did all this? All these tributes to history? King James, a Freemason? It's not hard to see who runs the show. That's why USA Today has to write an article like this. And the thing about this article is it brought me attention and it showed off my work. But the article's BS, The article tries to make fun instead of acknowledge. And Vice Sports did the same thing too. Wrote an article after I was right about the Astros beating the Dodgers in the World Series because of the military weather warfare on Houston and the fires set that were the Lotuna fires. And I guess the Masonic fires in California didn't wake people up either last year, just before the November 8th fires. 118. Paradise, California, 118. Los Angeles, California, 118. Again, this code goes beyond rigging sports. This code goes to dominating the world, which is, again, think about it. You got the mayor, Mr. Hogskin, or whatever his name is, Hogset. Give me a break. Declaring Andrew Luck Day. Everything we just showed about it. These people got the chessboard set. This is the code they roll by every single day. The fact that almost no one in the truth community sheds any light on this should show you that it's a network of shills out there. Let me show you a few more things, then we're going to come back to this right here, because we got to talk about that. I'm going to show you about that. Clowney. You know how I was just talking about, the other day I did a long live stream. The Dolphins on August 31st traded their best player to the Houston Texans. And it was a date with 78 numerology, and all the articles showed he was number 78. His name has the same gematria as the National Football League. And I was saying there's something up with this guy coming to Texas on the day of this shooting in Texas, because they got it all the same numbers synced up in the shooting story with the big sports stories. And I was pointing out how both mass shootings in Texas in August, one August 3rd in El Paso, the next August 31st in Odessa. I was talking about how Seattle, the Mariners, were in town for both games. And on the days of both games with Seattle and Texas, you get mass shootings. And again, Seattle equals 107. Shooting equals 107. Saturday equals 107. Rangers equals 107. The Rangers were 10-7 against the Mariners before the game was played on August 31st for this season, for another 107. And yes, we did see that coming when we decode sports on Patreon every day. There's certain number patterns that hit and hit and hit and hit and hit and hit again with teams. And anyway, this guy from the Houston Texans on that same day got traded to Seattle, and I did not even catch that. So the Dolphins sent a player to Texas, and then Houston Texans sent a player. And remember, Houston had a no-hitter. No-hitter equals 107 on August 3rd. And then they had a no-hitter the day after the shooting against Toronto by the numbers, which I have a video on. Toronto Blue Jays 193. It was 193 days after Verlander's birthday. No-hitter equals 107 as well. But then a player gets traded from the Houston Texans to Seattle. And the thing is, you guys, this seems to have been scrubbed from the internet. When I search for this phrase on Google.com, this is all that comes up. I have no idea what this is, phone numbers. But this happened for a fact. We had to rewind. It was a good thing it was during the age of rewindable TV. My friend and I, my buddy who's a postman back in Seattle, I moved from Seattle in the last year, but my good friend who I've known since middle school, we were hanging out the day of that draft, and we had the draft on, and Clowney was the number one pick, and as they went to commercial break, Clowney goes, "I sold my soul for this." And we were both like, what? We both heard it. So we rewound it, watched it again. We watched it like 6 times. We just couldn't believe it. Clowney says, "I sold my soul for this," after getting taken number 1 in the NFL draft. And again, these draft rituals are sick rituals. See what I just exposed this year about Kyler Murray going number 1 to the Cardinals from the Sooners, and the man who died that day who played college ball at Tennessee where the draft was. I mean, it's just sick what goes on. And these young guys, they must not see it, They must be distracted by other things, which are easy to imagine. But this guy, I was just thinking about, in the time he's been at Houston, because that's where he got drafted to, the Houston Texans, and now he's getting traded to Seattle. Remember, Seattle's 19. It's 2019 as well. Russell Wilson equals 54. He's starting the season by playing against the Cincinnati Bengals. He's born in Cincinnati. But I just think in the time this dude's been in Houston, bad stuff's happened there. The horrible hurricane. And you have to remember, these people who run the world, these football players, these politicians, they are their pawns on the chessboard. And they've been named in accordingly. And, there's the rituals are deep. If you haven't seen my work on the 1989 World Series earthquake and how that thing was synced up with Jose Canseco, as crazy as that sounds, go back and look. It's undeniable. We live in a mad world. Just like how they can dump rain on Houston on a 52 date numerology where flood and hurricane equals 52, and then they can have Matt Harvey be the first starting pitcher in Houston 52 days before the World Series. Did a video on it then. I said, they're telling you who's going to be in the World Series. It's going to be Houston. And they're going to put out the fire in Los Angeles. And that's exactly what happened. But these people got the chessboard set. I can't emphasize it enough. And Clowney, here's my favorite part about the Clowney thing going to Seattle. This is how perfect it is, right? Clowney's birthday is February 14th. He's 26 years old. And when he plays for Seattle, Sunday, September 8th, by the way, that's the 251st day of the year. It's the 54th prime. It'll be the NFL season ending with Super Bowl 54. But it's 206 days after his birthday. And how many videos have I done over the years with Seattle rituals in 206? From dead musicians to dead skate park builders to rigged sports accomplishments. Robinson Cano just the other year suspended on his 206th day of his age. There's been 3 other things since then with Seattle athletes that I can't even think of. Maybe the Edwin Encarnacion trade this year. It's just this joke. And I know I'm sure this happens all the time with sports and area codes. I know 206 because that's my area code. That's where I've lived the majority of my adult life. But you just, and he's 26, not too far off from 206, right? So I just wonder if this guy is a bad sign for the city of Seattle. It's I don't know about this dude. He's the only dude I've ever heard say, "I sold my soul for this." After getting drafted number 1, I was just like, whoa. You sold your soul for this. Well, at least, man, I got to thank you for being honest, but I just don't know about this dude. And supposedly he's a character problem, but I don't believe any of that. The tabloid storylines they make. I mean, it's just a joke. So, and again, just to review what they just did with Ezekiel Elliott, also in the news today, September 3rd. They emphasize very close, 43 like Dallas Cowboys. The news comes 43 days after his birthday. Remember the 1 month and 12 days, because I'm going to get to something about this last thing right here with 1-1-12. The Super Bowl's 112 days after Jerry Jones' birthday this year, the Cowboys owner. Last year, the Super Bowl was 112 days after Goff's birthday, so it doesn't mean you'll win it, but you might be in it. Talk about that. But anyway, Elliott, the guy who's back, if you don't know, this guy is considered the best running back in the NFL. Guy who runs the ball, the guy who takes the most vicious hits probably in a season on offense. Toughest guy on the team, arguably. Well, maybe the fullback. This guy's a big star. And they've been comparing his holdout to the 1993 holdout of star running back Emmitt Smith. So he comes back today on September 3rd. Well, he's almost back. They've agreed to a deal. They're going to announce it tomorrow, September 4th, right? So on 9-3, Elliott 93, who's compared to Emmitt Smith's 93 holdout for the Dallas Cowboys, who was also a running back. Just to go back in time, Emmitt Smith was 24 years old at the time. He came back September 18th, which was his 127th day of his age. And notice his full name is 127, like Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, like what American football is credited to. So he comes back on his 127th day of his age. If you don't count the span, it was 4 months and 3 days after his birthday, like 43 as well. And consider that tomorrow, Ezekiel Elliott's full name is Ezekiel Elijah Elliott. I guess I don't have it up here, but that is his full name. You can look it up. His full name is 94. He's going to have his press conference for his return on September 4th. Dallas is 49 as well. September 4th can be written 4/9. Keep in mind his birthday is July 22nd. 22/7 is like 227, the 49th prime number. Dallas is also 113 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse. Ezekiel Elijah Elliott is 113. And if you count the span of days, see how it says but not including? If you include 1 month and 12 days becomes 1 month and 13 days, like 113. Like his full name, like Dallas. Like Scottish. Don't forget JFK was killed in the middle of Dealey Plaza, named after a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, and Zapruder was a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason. Scottish is 113 and 49 just as well. America's 49. Washington's 49. What have they called Dallas for decades? America's team. America, Washington, Scottish, Dallas, 49. You think that's an accident? Ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry equals 227, the 49th prime. So, that story, and again, just before I get to this, one last thing that I want to talk about to close out. Also, yesterday in the news, September 2nd, 29, death in the world of sports. They emphasize he was beloved. Was beloved equals 162 and 54, just like baseball. 162 games in a season, 54 outs in a complete game. Major League Baseball at the alphabetic order is 162. Baseball's 162 with the reverse alphabetic order. Baseball's also 54 at the alphabetic order. MLB's 54 with the reverse alphabetic order. Not an accident. Again, it's because Masonry is behind the naming of the games. It's easy to understand if you just look at it. The entire language is coded out in tribute to Freemasonry. Freemasonry is based in Kabbalah. This code of letters and numbers comes from Kabbalah. You know, all the Masonic things are perfectly named, and then you can find the biblical relationships as well. It's just so easy to see that they've built the code, and they've built the things in this world upon the code of letters and numbers. You know, they've named it accordingly so that all this can work out perfectly. And for the person going, well, baseball used to be a 154-game schedule, The name Doubleday equals 154. It's a huge number in baseball rituals. Documented year after year, Grand Slam equals 154. 2 years ago on the 154th day of the year, June 3rd, a Grand Slam record was set in Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball is also 63 like June 3rd. Even Major League is 63. And the first no-hitter of the season was thrown on that day by a pitcher with a 63 name, which was synced up with the death of the Marlins pitcher the year earlier in the boating accident. Again, all this stuff's in my book, but again, just the perfect rituals day after day by the same code. I mean, it just takes common sense to see that what I am teaching is factual. And anyone can go out and prove that or try to disprove it and fail. Everyone who's ever tried to disprove my work has become a big follower of my work. The person who built this calculator right here was someone who was trying to disprove my work. He thought that I was crazy, that there was no way they could rig sports. So he built the calculator, put the knowledge to the test, and realized it was legit, and then started making videos teaching this stuff himself. You know, I think he should have spent more time watching my videos and learning more before he went out. But he still does good work. This player who just supposedly died while skateboarding. Well, he didn't die while skateboarding, but he got a fatal injury while skateboarding, and then he died 3 days later, supposedly. Skateboarding is 54. His name was Chance Numata. He was 27 years old. He played for the Erie Seawolves in Pennsylvania. The farm league teams he played for were connected to, let's see, I know I got it in here, the Phillies, the Yankees, and the Tigers. And if you've been on my Patreon all year, we've been talking about how they've been running riddles with the Phillies and the Yankees side by side all year. On Patreon, we've documented so many Phillies and Yankees riddles this year. They just keep coming. So now when you see something like this, you go, now they have a death ritual during the season that connects them. For example, Seattle Mariners, they traded away their 2 best hitters this year. Both of those players' names sum to 129, their full names. One got traded to the Phillies, one got traded to the Yankees, and the one who got traded to the Yankees got traded there 129 days before the World Series. New York City is 129. So is New York Mets. And anyway, that is one of several things that have happened this year with the Yankees and Phillies sharing patterns. Look at this, though. This guy died on a date with 50 numerology, and Seawolves equals 50. He also died 50 days before the start of the World Series. 50 days before the start of the World Series. MLB is 27 and 54. Again, he was 27 years old. Ritual's 27. Each team gets 27 outs in a game. Another baseball number. Ritual 27. He died on a Monday, the date of the week that has double 27 Gematria. His name was Chance Numata, which is 207, not far off. He died September 2nd, 92. Numata's 92. You see? And just day after day, the Tampa Bay Rays story that just happened. Here, somebody's calling in real quick. I'll let them interrupt. What's up, caller?
Yeah, this is out of New York. Listen, I'm a student. I'm one of your students. I'm not a follower. I'm not none of that. I got the book. But anyway, you went on your 39. You went on your, what was it? The 30, the 93 and 11 rant, right? But listen. This is. I'm not, no joke. The midday drawing was 39-11, and it's what 119 days left in this year.
Right.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Wait, let me go back to what did you say about 39-11? Say that again.
Listen, man, you shouldn't be on this channel if you don't know what we're talking about. 39 and 11. New York is 39 and 11. The midday drawing lotto was 39.
Oh, the lotto. That's what I didn't understand. Sorry, man, just because you got that little accent. Lotto, got you.
Yeah, the lotto was 39-11. New York, if you type it in, is 111-39.
Right.
It's that easy if you're still doing the live stream.
Well, so for real, I've never studied this with the lotto, but somebody took my work and said he's been winning.
It's that obvious. It's that obvious.
But what I'm saying is, there's a guy who's taken my work and he says he's been winning a lot playing lotto numbers.
You go in doing whatever, but you shouldn't use it for that. But
sure,
if you could pay your bills and, like you said, and catch up, do your thing.
Right.
But still,
right.
It's in your face. It's in your face. It's in your face.
It is in your face.
All. Zach, like, throughout the years, if you question Zach, he's official.
I appreciate that. I'm going to show somebody the ritual that went down with the Yankees today. What they had going with James.
Listen, if type in on the calculator New York, you do it all the time. Come on, it's that simple. Everything they covered all bases. Like, come on. So anyway, you enjoyed the live. I enjoyed the live stream. Thank you so much, man. Keep it up, man. But we enjoy the rants, and it's out there, man. It's out there. So.
All right. Appreciate it. If it's out there, it's not out there enough, though. Because in all seriousness, we need to build a movement. We need to get this Patreon up to, tens of thousands a month so we can hire an, literally, I don't want to use the word army, hire a committed group of people to make real progress happen. I got an email from a young man named Martin today, and he's just the latest email, but there's been about, probably in the last year, I don't know, at least 15 or 20 people who've written a long, sincere email asking if I can hire them to help with this movement. And that is what I want to do, and that is what's going to happen. But I would like to know that we have a steady source of income of people who are committed, because right now my source of income is through a third party. That's why I'm building my own website, too, to get it more under my control so we can do these things going forward. Because if the plug got pulled on my current revenue stream, I wouldn't be able to afford employees. But we are getting close to the point where we will have a steady and dependable source. And if we can get it up more, we can hire a lot more people. People like Martin who want to do this every day and help spread this work. And for those of you who don't appreciate what I do, for those of you who think, like I've seen a lot of people, what's up with not posting, Zach? I know you guys aren't on my Patreon. People on my Patreon know where I've been. I've literally been on Patreon on live streams for almost every breathing minute of the last 2 days. And sadly, to admit, a lot of that has been sports work, because that's where the people are who are willing to invest resources right now. I wish it was really just the people who want to see this work take off. But I have to build it whatever way is possible. And so far, people want sports information. And right now is a real busy time of sports year. But something we identified with the Yankees today. I just want you to see this ritual. Realize that today is September 3rd. Date that can be written 3/9 or 9/3. And again, I'm going to expand to all 4 base ciphers right here. So again, we can remember what's important about New York. New York in the most pure cipher, the alphabetic order with the rules numerology is 39. NY with the alphabetic order, the abbreviation is 39. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, NYC for New York City is 39. Empire in the most pure cipher is 39. Like New York, the Empire State. If you write New York, comma, NY with the reverse alphabetic order and the rules numerology, it's 39. The United Nations there is 39 floors tall, not by accident. The first governor was George, 39. Clinton, 39. Not the funk dude, George Clinton, who Hillary Clinton, who her name's really connected to, because Bill Clinton was born Bill Blythe, and his biological father died when he was still in the womb. And his mother remarried into the Clinton political dynasty family out of New York. Think about how Hillary ended up being a senator there. But George Clinton was born July 26th, 1739, the year 39. And he became the first governor of New York. New York's birthday is July 26, 1788. He turned 49 years old like Scottish the day New York was officially established. Scottish Rite Freemasons doing things by the numbers. And again, let's just go through that 49 thing. Scottish 49, America 49, Washington 49. George Washington was a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, which the nation's capital is named after. The federal headquarters 33, like masonry, like secrecy, like order. Only 3 states sum to 33 in that cipher, the first and last and the the 6th Massachusetts. But New York's date of establishment, July 26, 1788. 7 plus 2 plus 6 plus 1 plus 7 plus 8 plus 8. If you add it up, it's 39. The United Nations gathers at that 39-floor building in the 39th week of the year every year. The World's Fair in New York in 1939, and so much more. It's the New York number. G-Min equals 39. Every New York Super Bowl is connected to 39. The Jets won 16-7 because 167 is the 39th prime, plus the rest of them. But here's what I want to show you about today. Let's see if they have his stats updated. Brett Boone. Wait, not Brett Boone. What's wrong with me? Aaron Boone stats. He's the manager of the Yankees. Aaron Boone. Let's see if they updated it. Wait, I don't want his batting stats. I want his coaching stats. All right, here we go. So Aaron Boone, so they haven't updated this yet, but when they update this, because the Yankees just won today, this website usually updates in the morning of the next day. But what we saw today, in knowing how sports are rigged, is that Aaron Boone could get his 191st win and stay on 111 losses on March 9th. And look, let's just go back to the original ciphers, not the reverse, just the alphabetic order and the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. New York's 111, so he could stay on 111 losses on March 9th, or not March 9th, September 3rd. His birthday is March 9th. That's Aaron Boone's birthday. Look at this. Vice News made an article making fun of me talking about New York in 39 right before Aaron Boone got hired with the March 9th birthday. And the last manager firing had everything to do with 39. Derek Fisher was once fired on the 39th day of the year as the Knicks coach. But anyway, he stays at 111 losses on September 3rd, and notice New York Yankees is 191. He got his 191st win as a manager today. Isn't that just too perfect? But you realize, game after game, day after day, this is how it's all scripted, and you're like, oh my God, they have literally... And it's just like, today there was a long, I can't remember what game it was, Orioles game, long visit at the mound. It's like, what are they doing? And then right out of the mound, first pitch, meatball over the plate, jacked out of the park for a 2-run home run. I mean, it's not hard to see what they're doing. They're going up there and telling them what they got to do, the next part of the script. Baseball, they're signaling all over the field. Nobody knows what the signals are. Tell you what, some of those signals mean meatball right here because this has to be the home run derby pitch. And if it doesn't make it out of the park, that's when all of a sudden the outfielder, forgot how to catch the ball or he lost it in the lights. Which, trust me, I play ball. I know that can happen, but that's not what's going on in these games. Especially when you know the code and you realize these things are going down on the 54th pitch and whatnot. So it's all ritual, night after night. But Yankees... Aaron Boone gets to 191 and 111, big New York Yankee numbers on September 3rd. And remember, last year, documented this first take of ESPN. They started a countdown on New York's birthday. Remember, a year ago today, first take moved to New York City. They had Fat Joe performing. So last year, I documented this. I have a video. I think it's still up. First Take put up a countdown on July 26th, New York's birthday, without announcing it was New York's birthday, that it was 39 days until September 3rd when they moved to New York. And I was like, look at that. They're putting it right in front of your face. I mean, who starts a countdown at 39 days? And nowhere along the way do they ever explain that in Gematria, New York equals 39, and its whole history is centered around this number. But they do it on New York's birthday, which they don't announce, and start the countdown at 39 days. Just to remind you, this is what goes down every day in the world of sports, even when we're switching our studios to New York. And so to get to that thing that I keep saying I'm going to get to, did I hit all the points on Numata? I think I did. I think I hit all the points. So to get to the last point, again, this all began with Andrew Luck Day, my favorite story. And think about what's going on in the world right now, you guys. I mean, trust me, the weather warfare, the wasted money on the border wall, just all the insanity. What we're talking about right now is the bread and circus. But I have to help people break out of this bread and circus and see the real agenda that's at hand and the real things we need to be, putting our energy into. Because the average grown man right now in the United States of America, as sad as it is putting his energy into his fantasy football team. He's probably looking at the fantasy football free agents right now. He's probably doing his 18th fantasy football draft right now. He's probably ordering his new jersey, t-shirt, ball cap in the mail right now. And all year, he's just going to be pouring his energy into the screen in front of him. And he might even put a few holes in the wall because of some unbelievable plays, which, yes, they were, but they were part of the script. So, meant to steal your energy. So, anyhow, let's get to this last thing right here. ESPN all day ran this. Year of the Black QB. They make the game exciting. And again, I talked about the last time we had a black QB, Cam Newton, with the Black Panther on his helmet. Huey P. Newton, the founder of the Black Panther Party in 1966, the year of the first Super Bowl. 66, by the way, is the 11th triangular number, like 11 men on each team on the field. But we talked about that at the beginning. That was Super Bowl 50. This year's Super Bowl 54, the 50th of the modern era. Chiefs equals 50. So, 2 black QBs. Not too many black QBs in the NFL, but here they are in this image. And remember, there's a big ritual with the Cowboys today, too, who have one of the black quarterbacks, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, by the way, sums to 42, and the first game of the season will be on his 42nd day of his age. The only 2 black QBs to ever win the Super Bowl were the man for the Redskins. Was it Doug? I always forget his name. Doug Williams? Doug Wilson? One of those names. I think it was Doug Williams. And he won with 42 points. Remember, number stamped all over black history. Muhammad Ali, 42. Slavery, 42. The N-word, 42. February, 42, Black History Month. So many big black sports stars. LeBron James, 42. So many, 42. Dak Prescott, 42. Again, anyway, the only 2 black QBs to win the Super Bowl. Doug Williams won it with 42 points, playing on the Redskins, which is like a, kind of a racist team name. 42, a lot to do with racism. The name Jackie equals 42. Of course, Jackie Robinson wore 42. The only other quarterback to win the Super Bowl that was black was Russell Wilson, and he plays in Washington State, the 42nd state, named after the slave owner George Washington. Freemasons 42, by the way, as well. Again, to remind you who does things by the code. And anyway, they make the game exciting. Let's just take a peek at this phrase. They make the game exciting. They make the game exciting. Do you see the 1-1-2? Patrick Mahomes is the bigger star in that picture. He plays for the Chiefs, right? 1-1-2. Super Bowl is 112. So, I'm not saying that this is going to be the Super Bowl, but you really got to think about this. Whoops, wrong button. August 20th, 2019 was the day that slavery in America became 400 years old. And the Bible prophecy Acts 7:6 says that slaves will be mistreated in a land not their own for 400 years. So whether you believe that's true or not, it doesn't matter. It still exists in this world. That Bible verse exists. It's been compared to this anniversary date, this August of 2019. That Bible verse says that their mistreatment will end, but then the nation that's responsible for the slavery will be punished. And that's in Acts 7:7, where United States equals 77, which is interesting. So anyway, now ESPN runs a story, the year of the black QB. I've never seen this before. How does ESPN know this already? Remember, you have to remember, ESPN is part of the cabal. They already know that the sports are scripted. That's why they mock you every night with their code. That's why they get Scott Van Pelt on the ESPN to literally make comments that are going against things that I'm talking about in real time and videos that I'm putting out. And, again, that's because like the last caller who called in, he just said that this word really is getting out. And YouTube is obviously censoring. So, anyway, they make the game exciting. 112, special number. The Jesuits have a lot of rule over the NFL as well. The Jesuits and the Masons, the Jesuits operate in 112 countries. Mathematics is 112. Special number, 1 plus 1 is 2. But this matchup right here couldn't happen in the Super Bowl because you have two AFC teams. It couldn't be Patrick Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson, again, who was part of the Muhammad Ali death ritual. The 19-mile funeral procession, and then the Heisman season from the 19-year-old. But what you could have is Chiefs and Cowboys. You could have a Chiefs and Cowboys Super Bowl. And then you'd have two black QBs, something that has never happened before. And it would come after, and realize this has already been a big part of the sports narrative this season. Remember what I showed, months in advance. Months in advance, I put it out for free that one of two teams was going to win the college basketball championship this year, Virginia or Duke. And I advised my people at that time to bet Virginia and Duke to win the championship. It'd be one of those two. Remember how that story came up, how that clue came up? It had everything to do with all the Virginia and slavery mocking headlines. And it was that Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax accused of rape. All by the numbers, all synced up with the college basketball championship, and it was the day before the Virginia and Duke game. And if you followed me on Patreon when the tournament began, I said right now Virginia looks more like the team to win it than even Duke because of the amount of losses Tony Bennett had going into the tournament. He had 89, Virginia and Virginia Cavaliers equals 89, and he's on 89 career losses right now because he didn't lose in the tournament. So again, this knowledge does a lot of things. Now look, the thing about the Cowboys and Indians is last year, I pointed out that the Patriots won the Super Bowl before the season began. And I said that the theme of the season should have a lot to do with the genocide of the natives, and it absolutely did. Both native baseball teams got eliminated on Christopher Columbus Day, the same day the Saints blew out the Redskins on Monday Night Football. 43-19, 62 points, genocide equals 62, and the Braves lost 6-2 to be eliminated that day. But I knew that season would have a lot to do with that narrative because the United States of America equals 99. Remember how Brady eliminated the Chiefs, the native symbolism, on their home field. The white patriot comes in and kills the Chiefs on their home field. The United States of America 99. It was the 99th NFL season. The Patriots beat the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football and in the Super Bowl 98 days later, or a span of 99 days. Arrowhead Stadium's 99. Patrick Mahomes' full name is 99. Andy Reid's full name is 99. Tom Brady got his 99th career away win. And to conclude the 99th NFL season, New England equals 99. So think about this being like history books. What happened later in history after, the white man came and conquered the natives, when still some natives were still out there, especially out west? Then what was the next battle? Cowboys and Indians? So there's all these big moves with the Texans. The old Dallas Texans became the Kansas City Chiefs, right? So they're all there. There's these riddles floating around. And look, I don't want you to go bet $1 million on a Chiefs-Cowboys Super Bowl because I'm not sure that that's what it's going to be. But I'm marinating on ideas. And usually when I marinate on ideas, I can usually figure out what the championship is not too far into the season based on what stories come about, what the tributes are, and the scores. But you start to see what they're coding, and you realize they're putting the puzzle pieces in play. It's not an accident that they're coding 112. It's not an accident that today's 1 month and 12 days after Ezekiel Elliott's birthday. A very biblical name, and usually these NFL riddles are biblical as well. So anyway, what I'd ask for the people out there who don't support this work is for you to support this work. I'm literally having a website built for you guys right now that costs tens. Well, I have to sign a contract for a year, and it's going to cost at least $1,000 a month to run the website, and they said the cost could go up. So I have to spend nearly $20,000 to build the website, and monthly costs of a month, and I have to agree to those for a year. So yes, the project I'm building for you guys is literally tens of thousands of dollars. It's not $1 million, but it's still a lot of money. And the reason I'm doing this is because a lot of people have invested in my work this year. I have worked my ass off. I literally have not. Yeah, I don't think you guys can comprehend how much I've worked. But because you guys have been investing, and this is the reason I'm working so hard is to further this movement. I'm investing the money back, and it's going to be very expensive. But if people come and support the community, we can continue to expand. The website's going to be great right from the get. I'm sure in time we can figure out more ways to make it even more better. That's not the best English, but better, more better. And it's going to cost more resources is the thing. So if you guys go and support this work, and to learn and participate in the sports decodes every day, even if sports aren't your thing, by listening to this knowledge and learning the repetitive patterns I talk about, this stuff connects from sports to news. So what you learn about in sports, you can apply to other things. The same things they're coding into the sports games for cities are the same things they're coding into the city's news. So again, learning the knowledge is the point. And sports is one of many ways to learn it. But if you are on my Patreon and you have time, this can be very lucrative. I would say about 3 out of 4 people win and win very well with this knowledge. 1 out of 4, the reason they don't is because they're trying to do something that they don't understand. And anyway, that's kind of just the way this world is. There's ratios. But the knowledge is the main thing. Supporting this work is another thing. We're trying to hire people. We're trying to build a news network. We're trying to get a studio. We're trying to get a place where people can meet and a source of constant revenue. For example, just imagine that the community of 60-some thousand people here pledged $5 a month. You would have a revenue stream of $300 and some thousand a month. And we could run this as a nonprofit. I have no problem doing that. Everybody could agree to a, what sounds fair. We can have we can have a vote. It's a community. We'll just say off the top, people who are going to work hard, work 40 to 60 plus hours a week all throughout the year and do hard and meaningful work, we can say it's a nonprofit, so it's not about being a millionaire, but a starting contract of $50,000 a year. And I would agree for that to be my income a year. That's fine for me, $50,000. I'll do this work and work my ass off for $50,000. Those of you who've been here, I'll do it for 5 years and do it for free, which I already did and helped a lot of people win a lot in those 5 years of doing it for free, paying for it all myself, using my own life savings. But again, if you have this massive revenue stream of $300,000, how many employees can you have? You could have a lot of employees. You could be like a full-time news network. And you could have a nice studio and you could have nice production. You could probably even figure out how to start, your own internet radio site. You could have all sorts of things, We could have a website probably as nice as these other news networks. Put away their propaganda news as fast and, have an advertising campaign to get the word out. These are the things that need to happen because the time is now. I don't know if we have another decade to speak out against the cabal, seriously. I don't even know if we have another year, to be perfectly honest. But if I go to my own platform, in 10 years from now, is a platform like that going to be able to exist? The way they make new laws, internet, and all things? So, again, for the people out there like Martin, the Callers Weekly like Rambo, who would love to do this for a living, but have to figure out a way to pay the bills, we got to make this happen. And if you do support my Patreon, that's one way. I have 2 websites being built right now. One for the community, and then just another one where I'll start putting my videos and blog posts in case things get censored. And anyway, I've said enough. It's getting late. But if you can support this work, it'll mean a lot. And eventually, when I do have that other website set up, you'll be able to support there as well. And eventually, I'll try to get people to transfer from Patreon to the website just so Patreon can't pull the rug from out under the movement. Because again, if it was going through my own website, which is what's getting built, I'd feel a lot more safe and secure about that. Again, the reason we can't hire people now is because Patreon, they shut down people's accounts in the truth community quite frequently. And I won't be surprised if it does happen to me one day. So, when we know we got the steady revenue from a large group of people. And you know what? Just to go back to the 60,000 people, imagine if those people pledged $1 a month. If all 60-some thousand people pledge $1 a month, think about it. How many people could we hire with that? 60,000 a month is 720,000 a year. If we have a staff of people who make 50,000, we could have 10 people employed doing this work. Imagine how much information we could uncover. Imagine the synergy of a team of people working at this. It's just like my radio show. My radio show is kind of like that. People call in with information, and then we build off each other. You got 10 people, 10 sets of eyeballs, 10 minds. A lot could happen. And by the way, you'd have $200,000 extra dollars to do everything else you need to do. Travel to major stories, advertising to get the word out. So $1 a month. And that's, $1 a month is a lot. For all of you who don't think, I don't need to, what's it matter if I donate $1? That's the wrong thought. That's the thought that keeps the world from changing. So many people think that way about everything. Oh, I'm one person, I'm powerless. If I go and change the way I consume or behave, it's not going to make a difference. And because millions of people think like that, millions of people don't make that change that could have changed the world. That's what goes on every day in this world. Millions of people who know what to do, but they're like, oh, I'm just one person, so, my contribution won't make any difference. Wrong. And not to toot my own horn, but look at what my one-person contribution's done. I never believed that. I always thought, I can spark somebody else to change. Maybe they can spark somebody else to change. If enough people spark it, things will change. So, if you want to sign up for the Patreon, it's linked in the description of every video. We build this revenue stream up big. I'm going to be announcing, who's getting hired and where our new studio is, because that's what needs to happen. And the other thing is like I can work the way I do work until the day I have an aneurysm or a heart attack or whatever. I do take care of myself. I feel fine, but I really do work way too much. My girl's been getting mad at me. She's going to be mad at me tonight too. But somebody has to do it. This stuff has to be exposed daily, and it has to be exposed right. And, there's people who are making videos and doing a great job, but I still feel like if I'm not making the video, maybe the message isn't getting said as well as it could be said today. And that's why I get on here and do it. This knowledge has to spread. This world has to change. This agenda has to end. The manpower of the world, they shouldn't all be into their fantasy roster right now. And I got to admit, I got to admit, I am helping some people get more into their fantasy roster ever than before, because now they're really analyzing and they're really trying to earn something. But I understand why people are doing that. We're all in this rat race. We all got to pay the bills. People don't want to work for the man. They don't want to work the 9 to 5. So I have people who are literally following and making a living at doing this. This is how they work now. Instead of being day traders, they're rig sports decoders to get on the right side of the curve. It's like I've invented the day trading of sports gambling. So, and I admit, I'm not proud of that at all. I'm not proud of that. I want to end this agenda, but if this is the way to end the agenda, and people have been saying that to me for years, Zach, you gotta make money off this. You got to build your movement that way. That's how it's going to do it. And turns out those people might be right. So. Because again, how many times have I put out the cry out there? Hey, can you guys sign up for $1? If all of you signed up for $1, we'd have people hired. We'd have the Team Gematria bus. We'd have the studios. But it seems like every time I say that, like one person signs up for the month. I'm thinking, man, only one person heard it, huh? All right, I do got to get off. I appreciate all of you. If you missed this from the beginning, I'd rewind and watch. And all right, I just said hello to the chat. Appreciate all of you guys, and I'll be back probably tomorrow. Chris Jackson says he wants to work. I'm sure a lot of you would, and if all of you guys who are sincere and committed and who have work ethic and know how to apply this knowledge, you'll be the people I'm looking for. So some people have already earned a positive reputation, but it's going to happen sooner rather than later. All right. Until next time, Truth Seeker.